The Life of Death by Nightmare Darkness, read by Deathlights. Chapter 10, Confrontation. It took me a moment to place myself, and my heart crept into my throat, as well as the taste of bile at the smell. The moans of the wounded mixed with the smell of urine, blood, and other smells I'd rather not put into words. I was in a combat hospital. I forced myself forward, finding my first pony. A Pegasus, whose wing was once there, was now a stub, and missing a forehoof. His bandages were soaked through with blood, and they had done everything to save him, given the conditions, but it had been fruitless. His breathing was shallow. I lowered my scythe and gently removed him from his painful state. What happened next frightened me. The earth ripped open and pulled the pony into Hades, kicking and screaming. It took me a moment to recover and carry on, trying not to think about it, as their life flashed before my eyes, and cruelly got to know them before they were judged. Every soul I pulled, they were promptly removed by a ground shudder, fiery chains and screams, and Hades, as one soul more, as my own seemed to be chipped away. I stopped at a young stallion who had internal bleeding, 8 broken ribs, and several fractures. Again I saw his life flash before my eyes. A shy stallion from a farm outside Vancouver never did anything wrong of major evil. Then a letter in a mail, training with newfound friends, being transported to the front, Luna's rousing speech, his first kill, then a changeling bombardment, and finally now in the hospital, going to die. I pulled his soul gently, and soon as ghostly hooves touched the ground, he evaded me a sad smile. The ground began to shudder and break open. My heart sank. I was looking at this innocent stallion being pulled to Hades. Without thinking, I swung my scythe, cutting the chains as if they were rope. He looked at me surprised. As no sooner as I cut the chains, the tense time stopped, and an explosion of flames erupted, and a very severely peeved fire pleaser stood there frowning.
"What do you think you're doing?"
he exclaimed.
"He's innocent!"
I yelled back, which he replied with a roll of his eyes.
"Think again. He's killed some pony,"
he rebutted.
"We're at war,"
I retorted, which had a look of annoyance.
"You think war is a valid reason for some pony to kill? Open your eyes,"
he started.
"This stallion's innocent,"
I restated. Are you gonna do this for every pony and changeling you come across? I think they're innocent, then we'll have a problem, he said as he stamped the ground, and 3 demons appeared in a burst of flames around him. I frowned.
"Are you threatening me?"
I asked dangerously, and lowered my scythe, which gave him pause.
"You're stopping me from doing my job, Death. Now do yourself a favor and lose your emotions. Death has no need for them,"
he said matter-of-factly. I have to say I've never been so affronted in my life.
"I don't know how you work, but emotions are what differentiate us from mindless monsters,"
I said, lowering my scythe.
"Look around you, Death. The sick and injured are here because of the problem that ponies rule by emotions and morals. If they didn't want to kill one another, you would think they would stop and help the starving changelings, and not force their host to invalidate to simply serve. Have you not seen how dire their predicament is?"
he said accusingly. My mind flashed back to the deaths of the starving changeling family.
"But all this was facilitated by Videra, so..."
I began.
"Should they all get a free pass?"
he said sarcastically. I glared at him. Sure, he had a demon, but did he have to be such an asshole?
"Promise me that not all of them are being treated so poorly,"
I said, knowing that this debate was fruitless. He was right. I have to be so impartial that it hurt. Life is gray, full of conditions.
"It's Hades,"
he said simply, as the stallion, who was quiet during the whole entire conversation, looked at me, with horror in his eyes as the 3 demons descended on the stallion. And the earth swallowed them all, and a sudden loud scream. It broke me. I was alone with fire, and I clapped, shaking and sobbing. Who visibly relaxed and walked over to me.
"I can't do this."
I started to sob as he sat down beside me with a sigh.
"I'm sorry,"
he said simply, and I gave a small mocking noise.
"I am. War is ugly and always unfair.
No matter what you do, at the end of the day, you must keep the world balanced and turning," he explained simply. I looked up at him and saw he was being sincere.
"You don't like being a demon?"
I asked, sniffing.
"We were angels once, but balance,"
he said bitterly, moving his hooves as if they were scaling.
"What about that story about how you got your..."
I asked, and he laughed.
"My cutie mark? I made it up."
He stood up and helped me to stand.
"I gotta go. If you need somebody to talk to Abscroll first. I suck at this kind of thing. Sympathy isn't my shtick,"
he said uncomfortably.
"Thanks, Fire, and I think you did well considering,"
I said, even though I didn't feel any better. He waved to me and burned up, and was gone. I looked around the hospital and began to finish the reaping. I felt numbness begin to fill me up as I went about the grim business. I stepped out of the tent. and I was greeted by the sight of war, plain and simple. Where I was overlooked, the field of battle. Magic fire lanced through the sky, and as changelings dive-bombed into the ranks of the ponies, as Pegasus fought them above. Cries, screams, and blood covered the muddied fields, but something fell off. I wiped my tears away, and I could see souls being drawn up into the sky by an eerie green light. Focusing on it, it took a form of a centaur who looked over the field of death and pain. With a sadistic smile as the weapon he held emitted a green light, as they consumed the souls of hundreds. Vedra! I exploded with rage, and without thought, bone wings exploded from my back, and found myself closing the distance between us at an alarming rate. I raised my scythe and yelled, and he just noticed me, and he smiled and disappeared. I screamed and swung my scythe with all I had, and he just blocked it with his shield, but he flew into a mountainside. I was shaking, but now it was rage. He pulled himself from his own crater, and he was on me in a second. I blocked his attack. Death, he says simply. I began to attack viciously, and all he could do was block, but a smile crept across his face.
You can't stop me,
he said, and I growled, and swung, aimed for his shield, which connected with a loud bang, and a small crack appeared in his armor, making Venera look at me with annoyance.
My army's marching on Hades and heaven. It's only a matter of time till I have enough souls of demons and angels, and I'll be even more powerful than you.
And he took advantage of this, swinging his sickle at me. As he blocked, it made me fly into the ground, making the world spin. I recovered and flew up from the dust cloud to find out he was gone. I screamed in frustration.
Celestia, damn it all!
I cursed as I saw the battle below me slow pace, as the troops from both sides tried to discern whose weapons caused that crater. I looked at the fort, which most likely Luna was combating the military form. I need to alert Lucifer and Celestia about the armies moving on the other planes. I need to stop the fighting long enough to slow the amount of souls that Vedra can get his claws on. I racked my brain and come to an uncomfortable solution. Discord, I said to myself.
You called?
His voice hissed softly into my ears, making me recoil in shock.
How?
I asked in shock. He was already poking my skeletal wings.
I'm like Superman.
He said, looked into a blue and red costume with a large D in the center of his chest.
Superman? Who? Never mind. Can't you just stop this conflict?
I asked.
Yeah, why?
He said, flexing muscles he didn't have.
Why don't you... Never mind, just please stop him.
I asked.
That's a first for me. I found this rather chaotic. I have a soft spot for chaos.
He said, and that made me blink back in surprise.
Because it's the right thing to do!
I said louder than I should have.
Oh, right.
He said, rolling his eyes, snapping his claw. And thousands of other discords appeared by every pony, and saw many of them in mid-fight, canceling magic and freezing some in place, and picking them up and moving them to their appropriate sides, and went on to form a line between them, and puffed into a wall with barbed wire tops. Several discords patrol the wall, dressed in blue helmets, with letters UN emblazoned on them.
Thank you,
I said.
Oh, don't thank me yet. Now you owe me,
he said, smiling with a hint of mischief.
Hey everybody, this time we actually got it out on time. That is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Anyways, this chapter, there's quite a few things going on in this one. One of them is Discord now getting a favor from Death, which is quite something, and good to meet the guy that they've been talking about, and we get to have a little battle with him, which is pretty cool. Crap, his name just escaped me. Anyways. Yeah, so, you get to have a battle with him, then you get a favor from Discord, and they're gonna go meet up with, Luna now, which is gonna be quite interesting, I think. So, that's pretty much all I have to say on this one. See you later.